Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we do something we haven't done on this channel in some time. We are looking at an older show for once. We are looking at 2006's Busou Renkin, a Shounen Jump series that actually was a 10-volume manga series, and then obviously started getting popular, so they started making an anime series to go alongside of it. It's one of the few, I want to say, one of the few shows that actually has an ending, which is really cool. I'm very happy about that. Like, it has an ending not only for the shonen manga, but for the anime itself, so that was awesome. But yeah, I'm only doing this because, guys and girls, I know a lot of you have been requesting me to go back to some of my older ways of doing YouTube, where I used to do older reviews. Now, the reason I haven't done this in a long time, guys, and I want you to understand, is that when I started doing seasonal anime reviews and episode reviews, my channel did a lot better, you know, and I'm not doing this for popularity, mind you, but it is nice to see that even my old reviews got a little bit more views, because now more people are now going to my channel, seeing my content, and then seeing what other things I've done on the channel, and then they can go back and see some of my older reviews, especially the numbered ones, which I do have a playlist of, and, you know, can kind of see where I came from, my humble beginnings of sorts. But the realization was that as I became more invested in the seasonal stuff, I would kind of lose out on my subscriber base that remembered the older style I had, where I used to go and watch those shows and review shows from like 1999, you know, 2002, you know, even the early 1980s, etc. And I do apologize for that, but at the same time, you know, if you want these reviews to come back, because I do plan on doing them as a Throwback Thursday of sorts, and might be how I'm going to label this, as a Throwback Thursday. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that yet, but, you know, if I do that, I want you guys to show love to these things, you know, make sure to like them, make sure to share them around, and comment on the video, etc. And that will kind of be what, if I keep going with this, because I'll try to do one a week, or maybe one bi-weekly, but yeah, let's see what happens with them. Especially since Thursday, I have basically free from doing reviews for the most part, so it's like, why not, right? But anyways, let's talk about Busou Renkin. Now, I apologize if some of my information might be slightly off when it comes to like names and stuff like that. Not like the whole names, mind you, just like I can't remember certain last names. Obviously, I'm terrible with names, but everything else you can kind of trust me on. I obviously know what I'm talking about the series. So, our story here follows a young man named Kazuki Muto, who is a 16-year-old high school student, and he ends up seeing this kind of, I want to say, being of sorts attacking a young girl, and he right away rushes in like any other shonen protagonist to save her life. In the process, he dies. He gets stabbed in the chest, and he learns that, you know, what he was fighting against was a thing called the homunculi, which is a artificial being that has human form and has human shape, but also can turn into like a bestial form and get stronger, etc. So, in the process, the girl he saves is actually a warrior that's known as an alchemist warrior. They fight against the homunculi. She decides to save his life by giving him a Busou Renkin, which is a kind of artificial heart, but it's also a thing that could turn into a weapon. And what's interesting is that from here on out, he ends up joining the alchemist warriors to go and fight to see if he can stop the rise of homunculi, and also stop them from kind of killing off people and doing what they want to do. Which you learn as the series progresses that their reason for being is actually kind of, not, I don't want to say a selfish one, but a selfless one, where they want to be recognized as humans. They want to get back their humanity that was lost. And they feel like the only way to do that is to get power and influence in certain ventures, and actually somehow make some form of something that can bring them back to reality and get rid of their homunculus status. But, you know, till that happens, they're being antagonists, and they're attacking people and hurting people and kind of damaging civilians, you know, civilization, I would say, in general. So the alchemist warriors have to stop them. That's kind of a give and take in this story. And what's very interesting is that for the story itself, that's probably the weakest point of Busou Renkin, is that the story isn't per se bad. It's just that it's your typical shonen genre type thing, where you have our main character, he dies in the beginning, or gets beat up in the beginning, and then becomes stronger somehow via some supernatural power or some other form. Think of Bleach, or Naruto, or anything else you could think of off the top of your head. But, you know, it's not what makes the show great. What makes the show great for me is the character development. I love the character development. I love the characters in general. You know, you have Kazuki Muto, who's basically your typical shonen character. He's not really anything that he's going to be, oh my god, I love the character, but the way he fights and some of the stuff he does in the series is awesome. It's one of the better things of the show. You know, he uses a thing called the Sunlight Heart, which is a long spear-like weapon that actually has an energy ribbon that follows out of it, and based on his energy, he can actually transform this thing into several different forms of a spear. He turns it into, like, I think, a sword at one point. And I'm not going to spoil other things he does with it, but it's really cool. So I consider it like one of my top 20 favorite weapons of anime, to be honest with you, just because of how badass it is. But one thing I liked about his character is you see him go from your typical shonen concepts to a more, I want to say, character who sides with both the enemy and the ally too. Because there's another character that I think will be recognizable by most people, and it's what people really know Busou Renkin for, is Papillon. Papillon is a young man who's sick. Before he got too sick, he actually started making a means of turning his body into an homunculi. And when he did, he became 10 times stronger, obviously, and thus he considered it like a kind of rebirth, or Papillon means butterfly, in case you guys didn't realize. So it was his larva stage, and then he became a butterfly. His character is weird. The outfit he wears is weird. Everything about him is weird. But what's really cool about his character is that he goes through this thing where, almost like a butterfly, he has stages where he starts off as an antagonist. Kazuki beats him at one point, which is not really a spoiler. I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Beats him, comes back, but then starts realizing something's very off about even the group he's part of, because he's joined the homunculus in general. He realizes that there's something odd about them, and he doesn't want to always be this just bad guy. He wants to just more so be someone that can change the world in his own way, which is very interesting. It goes into a whole more plot thing, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, obviously. But his character really does undergo a lot of changes, and it's really cool to see the various fights he has with Kazuki, but also the various things that happen to his character. And that's, like I said, one of the great things about this. Another really cool character is Tokiko, who's the girl that, basically Kazuki tried to save at the beginning, but really was a warrior herself. You know, I think I might have said her name already. If I did, I apologize. But what was interesting about her character is it's also very similar, where she becomes this very cold and stoic character in the beginning, but then also changes and starts opening up more so when she starts seeing not only the world as through more Kazuki's eyes, but also just seeing how there aren't all bad people, even though she's not really 100% human herself, because she is also almost I don't want to say a homunculi, but there's something more to her, and I'm not going to spoil that either. But, you know, it's something that makes her character change as the time goes, and that's what I'm trying to say, is that the character development and characters in general in Busou Renkin are probably one of the better things of the show. Animation-wise, production studio, I think it was Xebic. They did a great job with Busou Renkin. Like I said, it's only 26 episodes, but they are really nice. Even today's standards, they're actually really nice looking. Don't expect anything super outrageous. It at times looks pretty old, but the fight scenes, the regular animation in general looks very solid. And even today, I definitely recommend checking out. It's not like one of those shows that's too old yet that you can't watch it and you're like, oh, what's this animation style? No, it's still pretty modern for the most part. They've only changed things slightly here and there, but it does look really cool. Music-wise, I love the opening. I forgot the ending completely, to be honest with you, and I remember the music during the fights was really good. And that's one thing that I looked up prior to this, was that I remembered, oh man, I think the fight scene music was really good, and I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's awesome. So definitely one of the better things about the series was the music. Now, I will say that all things considered, was it an enjoyable series? Yeah, of course it was. Busou Renkin was probably one of my more favorite shonen series. It's not, I don't want to say it's like my top 5, probably my like top 10 favorite shonen series out there. But it will be something that if you like shonen series and you want to see like kind of an older classic one that doesn't last too long. I mean, trust me, I love shonens that last a long time too, but at the same time, you sometimes want more of bite-sized anime/manga to watch and read, respectively. So I would definitely recommend Busou Renkin, because it's only 26 episodes long. You could really kind of power through that in even a couple days or a week or two, whatever. That's why, if I had to review Busou Renkin from an A through F, I'm going to give it a B-. I think it's a fair score for it. Like I said before, it might have seemed like I'm just giving this series a lot of praise, and it's like, well, why wouldn't it be higher? I mean, the thing about Busou Renkin is that obviously it falls into this typical shonen theme, and while the characters save it a lot of times, it's not enough to kind of deviate away from that shonen theme of characters getting stronger when losing, or getting stronger in general, or just kind of going through the kind of emotions that every shonen character goes through. And that's definitely going to kind of adhere to only people that love shonen. If you hate shonen, it's not going to change your mind of that, and that's definitely an issue with the show. And I also feel that the ending could have been a little bit more powerful. The last fight scene, mind you, is incredible. It's really, really powerful. And I remember even when I was younger, I got emotionally attached to that fight scene. But it also ends on a note that's like, you know, I wish I could have got a little bit more out of this, but it's okay as it is. So it doesn't feel like it concludes perfectly the way I wanted to. I think it was probably one of those shonen issues where they wanted to rush the ending because other shows were coming in and they wanted to start focusing on that. But anyways, guys and girls, what did you think about this review? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, you know, do you want me to keep doing these Throwback Thursdays of sorts? I can do this. It's not a big deal. I have several shows I can obviously review and watch that I've already had in the back burner that I've planned to do a long time ago. But let me know in the comments. I will talk to you guys later. As always, if you like these reviews, you know what to do. Until our paths cross again in the next review, everyone. God bless you all. Bye-bye.